The 8th annual Heart of a Woman Luncheon brought a real housewife to the Boca Raton Resort and Club in support of the work done by AVDA, a local safe haven for victims of domestic violence. It's a subject that guest speaker Taylor Armstrong, star of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, understands all too well.
When it comes to counseling and helping people to take that next step after they find the strength to leave their abuser. Also having a crisis hotline where people can call in when they are in danger. These kinds of services are invaluable to someone who is in a domestic abuse situation, for families and also for the actual victims. And I'm just here today to support AVDA because of all the great work that they're doing and to try to spread the message of why it is that we need to continue funding these wonderful organizations.
As her star was rising on The Real Housewives, Armstrong was suffering behind the scenes with a husband who physically and verbally abused her, as she chronicled in her 2012 book, Hiding from Reality. Armstrong talked about why it's so difficult for victims of domestic violence to break the cycle.
Domestic violence is so complex and every case is different. However, the types of control that are enforced upon someone who's in an abusive situation, from financial control to actually just fear for your own life when it's time to leave. And unfortunately, the most dangerous time for a victim is the time they choose to leave, because they're giving up, the abuser is then giving up all of that control that they've worked so hard to have over the victim. And therefore, I support these organizations who are there as the handholder, the one that can actually take them out of the situation, but then provide the counseling and also the means for them to start a new life.
Armstrong, who released her book a year after her ex-husband's suicide, felt compelled to share her story for a variety of reasons. Among them, the fact that domestic violence crosses all socioeconomic lines.
It crosses every race, religion, and I think my story was so unique for the public because it was hard for them to believe that somehow in Beverly Hills there's still abuse happening. And I get letters from all over the world. People tweet me. I just had a tweet recently from the Isle of Man, someone who was telling me their story. I mean, I had to get a map out to even see where that was. But, you know, really the one thread that's so common is the control starts slow, but the abuse always escalates. No one ever writes me and says, all of a sudden my abuser just stopped abusing me. It just doesn't happen like that.
Since serving its first client in 1986, the wife of a local physician, AVDA has provided shelter and outreach for thousands of women in abusive relationships. For Pam O'Brien, CEO and president of AVDA, stories like Armstrong's are far more common than people realize.
I think primarily people would be shocked to learn the prevalence of domestic violence, and that 1 in 4 women in the United States report that at some point in their lives they've been a victim of domestic violence. Those are the reported numbers, and that is frightening to all of us to see how prevalent it is. It really is something that cuts across all economic, religious, racial lines. It's something that affects all of us.
Armstrong spoke with great candor and emotion before a capacity crowd. She hopes that sharing her story gives other women the courage to stop suffering in silence.
I hope that people will see the red flags earlier in their relationship and take a step back and say, wait a minute, maybe this is not a good person for me, before they end up waking up having reconstructive surgery on their face or worse. I mean, I get these horrendous stories of things that have happened to people, and I'd like for us to be able to identify the red flags earlier. They were all there in my relationship, but I chose to ignore them, and then we all see how that turned out.
This is Kevin Kaminsky reporting for Boca Mag TV.